Welcome to the show. Hi, I'm Randy Jeffers, and we are live from the entertainment capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. Well, we have with us a very, very special guest, especially to me, from all the way from Albany, Oregon, Mr. Greg Simmons. And Greg, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Well, great to have you, and I might tell everyone that Greg is the founder of Silver Infusion, this unbelievable product. So why don't we just start there, Greg, and tell us about Silver Infusion.
Well, it's a product that we developed about 10 years ago, and it's similar to colloidal silver, but it's much better than any of the colloidal silvers out there. The guy that manufactured the machine for me, Fred Peschel in Florida, he came up with the machine and the technology to actually conduct electricity in ultra pure water. And when he did that, the machine creates ions of silver 100%. So when you get colloidal silver, the difference is that colloidal silver is a nano-sized particle, which is a totally different size. Nano size is way bigger than ionic size. Ionic size is ionic size is they're 40 billion times smaller than some of the nanoparticles.
My goodness. So it goes right into the cell, in other words.
Absolutely. It goes through the skin. You spray it on your skin, and it goes through probably 3 times faster than normal water because we use ultra pure water, medical grade water. And so we've been manufacturing it now for almost 10 years.
Well, I remember almost 10 years ago you gave me a sample of it, and I tried. I used up the bottle, I think, and there's a lot of uses. You can drink it, right? You can spray it on different things. Tell us what some of the uses are.
Absolutely. You know, if I have a teenage daughter, I had a teenage daughter. She's 22 now, but when she went through junior high and high school, she never got sick at all because she was taking the ionic silver infusion, and she, you know, I recommend people take it once a day, just a teaspoon, and a teaspoon literally will keep all the flu and cold bugs away.
Really? I
don't get sick. My daughter doesn't get sick. Anybody that uses it, that's one of the properties is that you don't get the colds and flus. You can go to a grocery store. A lot of times you pick up a flu bug in the wintertime, you pick it up, you come home, and within 12 hours you've got a cold.
Yeah. But
I feel ultra safe with the Silver Infusion because it's protection. You know, that's what we use it for.
Well, I think, Greg, a lot of people that maybe are not familiar with silver and how it worked, correct me if I'm wrong, but silver was what was used throughout the centuries, right? Throughout for thousands and thousands of years before penicillin came along, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And they really didn't have the technology that we have today, or even in the last 100 years. Mm-hmm. But what they would do is they would put silver dollars, silver coins, silverware in their water, and it would preserve the water. It would preserve the milk. On the wagon trains, I know they used it and they put it in their milk, and it would make their milk last for a week or two. Maybe not 2 weeks.
Hide the money, so keep the bandits away, right?
What's that?
And it would hide the money, keep the bandits away.
Yeah, that's true. That might have been where it started when they figured that out.
Well, I know the silver and colloidal silver has been just really, really important, but it sounds like you've taken it to a whole nother level with ionic silver.
Absolutely.
And once again, how much smaller is an ionic particle than a nanoparticle?
Well, it depends on. We did testing 10 years ago. We made the machine. We took 10 different products that were on the internet, and supposedly the best colloidal silver out there. So we tested them with independent place tested them, and they came up with 300 to 17,000 times more bioavailable and effective than the very best colloidal silver out there. So 300 times to up to 17,000 times, because some of the colloidal silver that people are buying out there is not very good stuff. I mean, people don't know what they're making. They think they can just put a wire in the water and make a solution, and they can, but the problem is the particle size are way too big. They get stuck in your skin when you drink them. They can get stuck in your skin, and it's called argyria. And it's impossible to get argyria with our product because your liver effectively removes it out of your blood about every 2 hours. So that's why we tell people if you're sick, you want to take it every 2 hours because your liver is taking it out of your blood. That's how easy. And within 24 hours, it's pretty much about 98% gone out of your body. So you have to reintroduce it.
My goodness. Well, you know, you've been doing this for 10 years, so you must have some amazing success stories. I know you can't make health claims or anything that's even close to that. But what are some of the stories that you've heard that people have come back with you? You know, they've bought your product and they've come back and said, "Hey, you know, this has done this for me."
Well, one of the big magical things that really impresses me. I mean, there's a lot of things about this product that impresses me. When I first started manufacturing it, I started in my kitchen, so I had a 300-gallon tank in my dining room.
Wow.
And so I would just, I was so impressed with the product, the things, the stories I was getting, and the uses I was getting out. But the most impressive thing I've seen is the healing properties of ions of silver. Now, the ions will create stem cells in a wound almost instantly. Wow. So one of the things, the stories I tell about my daughter is she went through a barbed wire fence on a four-wheeler. There was a girl on the front who had never ridden a four-wheeler, and she pushed the gas instead of the brake, and they hit this fence and flipped over it, and she, scraped her hand or tried to grab the fence, and it ripped the hole. It ripped the hand,
Ooh.
or excuse me, ripped all the way across her hand, about 4 inches long and about 3/8 of an inch wide.
Wow.
So the ambulance came and took the other girl, and this was on a 4th of July party at my house, and there was about 10 women in the house with me, and they were kind of getting livid at me. They said that you need to put her on the ambulance. That is a major wound, and she needs to go get that sewn up. And I tried to calm them down. I said, well, if this doesn't work, I will take her myself to the hospital. So I started spraying on there. Within 15 minutes, it was noticeably smaller. It started going together, and within 20 minutes total, it was completely sealed shut, tight. I mean, it was like you could see the wound, but it was together. And it blew me away because this was in the very beginning when I first got the product, and I didn't understand how it was working. So I did some research, and I found out that a doctor had done studies on ions of silver back in the 70s, and he found that when you mixed ions of silver, not like colloidal silver, but ions of silver, you get stem cells, instant stem cells, which is highly incredible. Now, that same wound, it was about 3/8 of an inch wide and about a half as deep. We put a piece of shipping tape over, and that's all we did. We left it for 5 days, took the shipping tape off, and it was pretty much healed up. There was a scar there, but a couple months, 3 months later, maybe it was 4 months, I'm not sure, but there's no scar whatsoever. There's no evidence whatsoever of an injury on her hand, which is in itself amazing. And that's from the stem cells. Now, I've had one of the gals that sells me the bottles. She buys it. She's bought probably 7 or 8 cases of the 32-ounce bottles, and she sells it to her friends, and she just loves it. She's a huge advocate of the product. And one day she called me up, and her daughter had thrown a toy at her. She has twin daughters, and her daughter had thrown a toy, accidentally hit her in the lip, and it broke her lip wide open. And she said her daughters just started screaming. She has twin daughters, and they started screaming, and because she was just gushing blood everywhere. So as soon as she sprayed the silver on there, it's a blood stopper also. So it stops the bleeding. And she said this was a big old gash in her lip, and she called me up because she said that gash went away. She goes, in 10 minutes it was gone. It was just sealed. It went back together in the same way that my daughter's hand did. and it's not surprising because it works. You know, it works on everybody, not just my daughter. This same gal had when I first started the company, I was calling her trying to get bottles, and she said she had this problem with a yeast infection for 8 years and she couldn't get rid of it. And she wanted to know if maybe this product would help her. And I said, well, you just try it. I said, you know, that's what I tell people, just try it. And I hadn't had the labels or anything, and she wanted me to send her a bottle, and I told her, I said, well, I don't have any labels on it, but she said, well, if it'll work, if it has a chance, I want to try it because I've been through 4 doctors. They know the name of the yeast, and they can't get rid of it. And she said, every night my stomach bloats up like a balloon. And this girl, she was a gymnast in college, and she's a very petite girl. And she said every night her stomach would just bloat up, and she would have extreme pain. So I sent her a bottle, and I told her, I said, you take it every 2 hours, a tablespoon. When you're sick, you need to take a tablespoon instead of a teaspoon. Take it every 2 hours, and within that, I told her to take it for 3 days. On the 4th day, she called me, just bouncing off the walls, because she didn't get the bloating on the 4th day, and it completely cured her in 3 days. So wow. She called me a couple months later and said, you know, she goes, I have more flexibility now than I did when I was in gymnastics. She goes, why is that? And I said, well, I don't know exactly why, but I said, you know, the yeast was throughout your body, it was in your joints, and you know, it got it out of your joints also. So that's, you know, there's just so many uses for this product. That's what makes it so incredible, that it's just off the charts. I mean, I have, you know, we have, I'm not supposed to say this word, so I won't use the C word, but we helped a guy with a liver disease, and it was the guy that built the machine. It was his friend, was sent home from the doctor, or sent home from the hospital basically to die. That's what Fred said, because he was on a transplant list, but the list was so long that he wasn't going to get one, and so they just sent him home basically. And so he gave him, at that point he still had this machine, he was still testing in the machine, and he gave him a case of 32-ounce bottles and had him drink a bottle, one 32-ounce bottle every day for 12 days. Wow. And just, you know, disperse it throughout the day. So he did that, and about 3 months later, his liver, got back and got it checked. It was 95% healed. He didn't need a liver transplant. And, wow. You know, I mean, I have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of stories like that. I have a woman with parvo, and she didn't have parvo. Her puppy had parvo. And the same type of affliction was the liver disease. The dog was sent home to die because it was pooping and peeing blood. The vet said it had complete liver damage, and there was nothing they could do. So she said, instead of charging you the extra $900, we're just going to have you go home and keep him comfortable. He's going to die, just in a couple days, going to die. So she told me that story because she worked at a restaurant that I went to, and she told me the story about her puppy that she rescued out in the field. There was 2 puppies out there in the field, and her and her sister rescued these dogs. And so she come over to me and she said, you know, my puppy that I rescued, she goes, he's going to die. It's probably tonight or tomorrow. And I said, what? And he said, yeah, he got parvo. And so I went out to my car and I got a 32-ounce bottle, and I got her a sprayer, and I said, you go home and you spray this dog's mouth. She said, because he's not drinking or eating anything, he's totally listless. And I said, you just go spray it in his mouth, and it will absorb into his mouth, and it you know, see how it works for him. And I said to give him a bowl of water, take his normal water away, and just give him this silver infusion as the water. And so she took the bottle and ran out the door. And this was out of her. This was about 10 o'clock at night, and her shift didn't end for a couple hours, but she just took off. And so I came back in, and that was on a Tuesday. On a Thursday, I came back into the restaurant, and she just come running over to me. She goes, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. She goes, my dog is alive, and he's up and eating, and he's playing, and he's doing this, and he's doing that. So she told me that she went home and sprayed in the dog's mouth, and she sprayed, 3 or 4 or 5 times before she went to bed, and then she said she even got up in the middle of the night and did it, and then she left the water out. She goes, when she got up in the morning, the water was completely gone. The silver infusion was completely gone. So she gave him another bowl, and he drank that. And in the meantime, he's up moving around, and so then he started eating. And this is within 2 days. So she took him back to the vet. That happened on a Tuesday when she took him home. She went back on the next Tuesday to the vet, and the vet literally said, "What did you do?" Because this dog was supposed to be dead. And she showed him the bottle of silver infusion, and she said, "Well, I've never heard of that." And anyway, on that Tuesday, she gave that dog a complete 100% clean bill of health from complete liver damage, pooping and bleeding blood with parvo. Okay, the dog was almost dead, and we rescued him in the last second and saved his life. He's still alive today. This was over a year ago. So there's so many things that this
it sounds like just a miracle product. Let's do a little commercial for it right now. Do you have some samples you could hold up and show us what the bottles look like?
Yeah, I've got can you see this back here at all?
It's a little bit, maybe you could just pick them up and show us. Bring them a little closer to the camera.
Absolutely. This is a 32-ounce bottle.
Uh-huh. Is that a glass bottle or plastic bottle?
No, it's a specific bottle. You can't put this product. I'll tell you a couple things. That salt is kryptonite to this. Okay, you cannot put it on salt or with salt of any kind. I'll tell you a little story, real short story. My daughter was in Hawaii, and she'd been over to Hawaii, and she always takes a bottle with her, and wherever she travels. But she went over there and she called me up. She goes, "Dad, the silver didn't work this time on my sunburn because every time she goes over there, she gets burned. She hasn't been in the sun. It's in the wintertime, and she gets burned." So, but she said it worked on my friends, and I said, "Well, did you go swimming today?" She goes, "Yeah, I did." She goes, "I said, did you shower afterwards?" She goes, "No, but my friends did." I said, "Well, go take a shower and then to respray it and call me back." And so about an hour later, she calls me back. She goes, "Yeah, that was it." So I'm just going to tell you that it takes the burn and the pain completely out of sunburn or any kind of burn. It takes it pretty much instantly out of your. It takes this burn out of pain, out of sunburns, out of regular burns, and it doesn't come back. You spray it on once or twice, and it does not come back. So it's like I said, it's an incredible product. I have another. This is a bottle that I made 10 years ago, and I decided to bring this in to show you because I have cases and cases of this that aren't labeled, and I use it for my own use, but I want to see what the shelf life is. So far, it's 9.5 years.
Wow.
Colloidal silver has about a 3 to 4 to 6 month shelf life at best. And what happens is the colloidal silver, the particles are so big they precipitate out of the solution, and you will see them sitting at the bottom. That's why they put it in dark bottles so you won't see the stuff at the bottom. Oh. Okay, because this has been sitting out. It's in the sunlight. It doesn't affect it. You can boil it. You can freeze it without any ill effect to it, except for salt. Salt is the kryptonite. So I've been using it. I don't think you can see it, but there's nothing in the bottom.
Yeah, it looks pretty clear.
It's the same pristine as it was day one. This is 9.5 years old. So we don't know what the shelf life is completely, but right now we're guaranteed it for 10 years. Because it is lasting 10 years. I mean, it's just, like I said, it is not even comparable to colloidal silver. Really.
Now you have it. We saw the 32 ounce. What sizes do you have?
Okay, I have the 8 ounce.
Okay.
And
that looks like it has a sprayer. Does it have a sprayer built in?
The small bottle, the 8 ounce comes with a sprayer.
Okay.
And then the 16 ounce comes with a sprayer.
Uh-huh.
The 32 ounce doesn't come with a sprayer. It's more of a refill bottle.
Uh-huh.
And I forgot to grab a gallon. We also have it in the gallon. so you can buy it in a gallon. But the thing about the container is, getting back to that, you can only store it in PET or HDPE. Those are the only two plastics. You can't use any other plastics. You can't use metal. You can't use glass. Glass, actually, what it does is the ions start taking on the characteristics of the glass, and they start to crystallize and clump together, and then they will precipitate out. So if you pour this in a glass bowl, in the morning you'll see a gray ring around the outside of the bowl, and that's because the silver has crystallized with the glass and precipitated out. And that's exactly what happens to colloidal silver. That's why it precipitates out, because the particles clump together. But as you can see in the bottle back here, it hasn't precipitated out. The ions in there are electrically charged, and so they're bouncing off each other. For the last 10 years, they're just constantly bouncing off. They never lose their charge. And so it's a pretty impressive product. I mean, it sounds a lot like bragging, but
it's almost like a magic trick, it seems like, it's it's too good to believe in a way, right?
Yes, and that's one of the cliches that I use for this product is magical. Yeah. Because it is completely magical, and it surprises me all the time. I mean, people come and call me. I had my neighbor call me one time, and it's really funny, but she called me up and she goes, "I just sprayed the silver on my shoulders." And she goes, "The pain went away." She goes, "The tightness and the pain and everything went away completely." And she goes, "Instantly." And I said, well, I started laughing a little bit. I said, "Verily," I said, the silver doesn't do that. I said, maybe it was something else or whatever, but I said, it doesn't do that. This was in the beginning, 9 years ago. And so she goes, "Well, I know I'm not crazy." And I said, "Well, it just doesn't do that. I don't know what to say." And she goes, "Well, do you have sore muscles?" I said, "Yeah, my neck is killing me." And she goes, "Well, spray it on there." So I sprayed it on there, and she goes, "Well, how's it feel?" And I said, "It feels the same, Verily." I said, It doesn't do that. This product just doesn't do that." So she got off the phone. She was a little bit perturbed with me, got off the phone, and about 15 minutes later, my neck started pulling to the side. It's like, what in the world? So I reached back, and I felt my muscles where I had sprayed. I'd sprayed on this side, and they were completely like noodles. Absolutely noodles. I'm not exaggerating a bit. They were just there was no pressure, no tension, no nothing. So what was happening was I felt over here, and it was still tense, and it was pulling on my neck. There was so much tension over here. It was literally pulling my neck to one side. So I sprayed the other side, and it took 15 minutes. For her, it was instant. So I called her back, and I said, "It took 15 minutes, but you're absolutely correct." So I went to a mall in Eugene, and I set up a booth down there, and I would have people come up and I'd ask them, do you have any tension in your shoulders or anywhere? Yeah, that's so tense. And I'd spray it, and I'd let them walk around the mall for a while. They'd come back and go, "What is that stuff?" And I can't believe my muscles are completely relaxed. So, sometimes I just have to shut up, because people stop believing me when I tell them all the accolades that are going on with this product. I really have to just shut up, because it does start to become unbelievable.
Yeah, so it sort of does. Now, how expensive is this product?
It's compared to most of the colloidal silver out there, it's way cheaper.
Oh.
Colloidal silver, a lot of the colloidal silvers, they sell in a 2-ounce bottle, and they get $19.95 for it. Most, like GNC, or I know I saw some people advertising on TV, $19.95 for a 2-ounce bottle. We sell our 8-ounce bottle for $29.97. So way cheaper. The 16-ounce bottle is $48.97, and the 32-ounce bottle is $79.97. Wow. So it's a lot cheaper to buy the bigger bottle, and even in the gallon, it sounds very expensive, but what you're getting is magical. But in the gallon, it's $275 online. So it would be 4 of these would be $320, and so you save money by buying it in the gallon.
Absolutely. Now, how long would let's take the 32 ounce for instance? How long would that last?
Well, an 8-ounce bottle. We'll start with an 8-ounce bottle. It will last about 5 to 6 weeks if you take a teaspoon a day. Mm-hmm. Now, what happens is I have so many customers that use it for everything, and so when they start getting short, they start getting literally getting nervous. And not it's not everybody, but I have a lot of customers who say, oh my gosh, I'm getting low. I'm going to need some silver. My son and my daughter-in-law, especially, and their kids, they just can't live without it. When my daughter-in-law talks about it all the time, when she shaves her legs, she gets those little nicks and cuts and a little bleeding sometimes. Instantly stops the bleeding. Instantly stops all that pain that comes with it. All that little irritation is gone. It just takes it away. And then on top of that, it kills all germs, bacteria, viruses, everything. So you don't get any infections. If you get a cut, it'll seal the cut up for you. It'll stop the pain in the cut, stops the pain of burns, stops the little nicks and stuff you get from shaving. It also, I should stop, but it also, I had a woman in Eugene. She started buying it from me, and she called me up one day. She goes, well, I need 2 gallons. So I met her in Eugene, and I said she'd been buying a gallon at a time, and she bought 2 gallons the last time. I said, what are you, if you don't mind me asking, what are you using this for? She goes, well, my son uses it. And she said he has really a big problem with wrinkles. And she said, when he sprays this on, she goes, he is a completely different person because his wrinkles are gone. She goes, I've never seen anything like it. She goes, he gets dates now. His confidence is up, but she said the wrinkles are gone on his face. So I use it myself, and my sister. I'm 60 years old, and my sister she's jealous, so she started buying the product. As I told her, I said, the wrinkles go away, and so at a risk of losing the viewers, there's just so many things this product does. I'm not exaggerating one little bit. It does way more than what I'm saying here.
Well, I'm sure a lot of people are wondering right now, how do I get this? Can we go online and purchase it?
Yes, I have a website. It's called silverinfusion.com.
So www.silverinfusion.com. Okay.
Yes.
And then just click on buy here or buy now or something.
Yeah, there's a shopping cart. There's a lot of buy now buttons on. There's a ton of information. If you go into, the front page is more of an advertisement, but the rest of the site has so much good information on it that you can really learn about the product, and you can learn about the differences. And it goes into scientific depth of how the product is, how it's made, what it does, what the differences are, and why. So there's some really, really good educational information on there too.
Interesting. Well, on a more of a personal note, you mentioned your kids, and you mentioned you're 60 years old. I guess you and I have known each other for at least 3 decades now.
30 years.
It's a long time, but I remember when your kids were really little. When we first met, your kids were very small, right? Now are you a grandparent yet?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like 5 times.
Oh my goodness! I don't know how that's possible. Wow, it's amazing. But time does fly, doesn't it?
It does, and we've had a lot of amazing experiences together over the years. A lot of experiences.
Well, let me just say, just for all of our viewers, that back in the 90s, I had a network marketing company that grew quite large. We actually set some records in the network marketing industry that still have not yet been broken. But we grew to the size of 1 million reps in 18 months, and you, Greg, are the guy that really got me started. I give you the credit for getting me on that road. I was traveling around. I'd retired at the time. I retired when I was 40, and I wanted to retire and not work anymore. And I was down in South America, I believe, and I'd come back and remember you pulled me over on the freeway.
Yeah.
And I just gotten back and you pulled me over and you handed me a phone card. And that was sort of the beginning of what was to come later. But anyway, I could never thank you enough for pulling me over and showing me that phone card, and because it changed my life. It changed literally thousands of people's lives in incredibly positive ways. But you know, you're onto something here that is just phenomenal. You know, it sounds like just, I mean, it's something that everybody needs to have. It's one of those miracle products that you can't live without, right?
Well, it is, and that's been my dilemma from day one, is that I knew the world needed to have this product. And my dilemma has been, my failure has been in marketing. And when I first started, I spent $40,000, and I pretty much failed at marketing. And so I thought sales and marketing were the same thing, and I found out the hard way that they're not. And so my biggest thing is to get it out to the world. And I'm not sure about how to do that other than, have some of these phone calls like this. But it really, people are really going to be appreciative. I have a group now that buys quite a bit of product from me, that I brought them in there, an affiliate program, and their customers, I mean, we get on Zoom meetings, and they just rant and rave, every single one of them. I have a 365-day money back guarantee. Wow. And I have never had anybody claim that. Never had anybody claim that. So we've sold at least $300,000 or $400,000 worth of product, and over the last 10 years, and not one time have we had anybody claim the guarantee. So, and not only that, but they talk about it, they love it, and they rebuy it every month. Not every month, but they rebuy it all the time. So it's great, but it's small. It's not that big of a group right now, and so I really would like to find a way to get it literally out to the world. I had a group.
This is something that really everybody needs to know about, right? And now, if I wanted to get it on a regular basis, let's say, maybe I could use a 32 ounce every month or every 2 months, because it sounds like 32 ounce would be perfect maybe for a family, right?
Yes.
You get everybody taking it, and you take a teaspoon, and that'd probably last a family maybe 1 month, and then. Is there an auto ship program where I could get it every month and not have to worry about logging in and ordering?
That's a good idea. We don't have that set up yet, but it can easily be done.
Good.
That's what have been selling in the last few years. What sells mostly is the 32 ounce bottle.
Yeah.
So I always thought the 8 ounce bottle would sell the best, but it's the 32 ounce bottle that actually sells the best. And because people use it, I mean, they might buy an 8 ounce or a 16 ounce bottle the first time, but they always come back and buy a 32 ounce bottle. And I've never had it. What's great is I've never had any complaints. All I get is these really nice accolades and letters and just appreciation for getting the product to them. And
how about Greg? How about an eye? If you had, when I, so when I first moved to the desert here in Las Vegas, there's something that I'm allergic to, apparently, that this eye here will cry. And every now and then I'll just have to go wipe away the tears. But it's not because I'm sad, because you're 60 years old now, or any of those things. It just happens, And so what would happen if I put a little bit of that in my eye? Would that help, you think?
I don't know. I can't say that, yes, it's going to help you. All I can say is just try it. And for the most part, when I don't think there's been a few times where it hasn't worked for somebody on certain things, but very few times. But for the most part, I just tell you to try it, and you'll find out for yourself that it actually works. And you can spray this. You can spray it in your eyes. Spray it in your mouth. You can it's a fine mist sprayer, so when you're spraying your mouth, you can actually breathe in the mist, and it will go directly into your lungs, and then it gets in your blood system right away, instantly.
Wow.
But what you normally want to do is put it in your mouth. Approximately 30 sprays is a teaspoon, and just leave it in your mouth for 30 to 60 seconds. because the metalloproteins in your saliva will surround the ions and put a protective coat over them, and then when it goes in your stomach, they're protected from the stomach acids, and then they're absorbed through the stomach. The metalloproteins are released, and the silver gets into your system that way.
Wow.
So it's each 1 ounce of this, each 1 ounce, it's 5 parts per million of ions, and the other ingredient is ultra pure water. So the water we use is the equivalent of double distilled water.
Wow.
So you distill it and then you distill it again. So ultra pure medical grade water, and each ounce contains approximately, we haven't counted them, but a very rough guesstimate is 1,000 trillion ions per ounce.
Wow.
1,000 trillion
in an ounce.
ions per ounce. So that's 10 times more cells than you have in your entire body. So plenty of ions in an ounce to completely hit every cell in your body.
Wow.
So if you have viruses, if you have herpes or warts or other viruses, it wipes them out. My daughter got a tattoo last year, and her friend was telling her that her mom had MRSA. Well, about a week later, my daughter's tattoo got MRSA. So the girl because MRSA is very highly contagious,
yeah.
and so she gave it to my daughter. So she went to the doctor, and the doctor said, well, here's some medication, and you're gonna, this is gonna be a problem with you for probably the rest of your life. And so she called me crying, and she was really scared. And I was out of state at the time, but I sent her a case of the 32-ounce bottles, and I said, listen, it is not going to be with you the rest of your life. It's going to be gone in a few days. And so I had her spray it on, 5 or 6, 7 times a day, and had her drink a quart throughout the day, just to make sure, because this was my daughter and this was important. She didn't need to drink a quart, but I just wanted her mind to be in the right place. And so she drank the quart, and within 3 days it was completely gone. And the doctor said it would be gone. Like I said, that was over a year ago, and I knew that it was going to be gone, but she now is convinced too that her MRSA is gone. So a lot of people have it, and because it started coming out all over her body. So she got really scared, and I got scared too, because I know how bad the MRSA is. But we don't really have a lot of fear when it comes to any kind of problems, because this is magical. I hope you believe me, because it is definitely magical, and it's a product that everybody should have at least 1 bottle in their car, take it with them everywhere, because there's so many times that something happens or you need it.
Yeah.
And
well, it sounds like that. It really does sound like one of those miracle products that everybody needs to have, and in many ways, I guess it may be the miracle product to be able to do all the things that you said. But let me ask you a question. You mentioned marketing, and that's the one thing, because you can have the greatest thing in the world, and if you go out and tell a lot of people, it doesn't do the masses a lot of good, right? So if there's somebody out there that's listening to us right now that maybe has an organization or an association, or maybe they're experienced in network marketing, or they're just a marketing genius, and they say, man, I love what Greg has here. He's got something that's really special, and I'd like to be a part of that somehow. Can they contact you? Do you have some openings or some things that maybe you guys could do together, joint ventures or anything like that?
Yeah, I'm trying to. I do work with affiliates. I have a few affiliates, and those work really well. And we pay out a 40% commission, so which is huge. And we're also trying to do a network marketing company. Where that's kind of, you can go check that out on the website too. It's under beta test. It'll take you to another website, but it's a test site right now. It's not really an official site, and it changes daily. So we haven't really come up with all the rules and regulations and everything, but it's a place to go understand mostly what it's about, and it's pretty incredible itself. We know we know we have the best product in the world, and so we wanted to have the best networking pay plan in the world, and I think we've accomplished that. And I guess time will tell, but the pay plan is humongous, and the product is out of this world. And I don't know what else to say.
Well, so
I sound like a salesperson, but
if we go, Greg, to www.silverinfusion.com, then all the contact info is there, and we'll find out all the information about the product and the pricing, and we can order there as well. And if we want to maybe find out about a little money-making opportunity, then that's there as well.
Yes, and my phone number's on the website, so if anybody has any questions or concerns or any of that, I put it on there for a reason, so people could call and just ask questions if they need to.
Well, that's amazing. What do you see the future of this product? What 4, 5, 6 years from now? What do you think is going to happen?
Well, I met a professor from Beijing University from China in Beijing, and he was, to put it mildly, he was foaming at the mouth for this product. Wow. Because his whole families all of his brothers and sisters are doctors, and he's a big time professor at Beijing University. He just retired, but he came to Washington State when I was spending some time up there, and that's how I met him. I spent about 6 weeks with him, and he wanted to bring a product back to China to sell. So he comes from Walmart with a mop, and he goes, "I want to take this to China and sell it." And I said, No. I pulled a bottle out from under the counter, and I said, "This is what you want to sell." And so he wanted to know what it was. And so, I told him, and he says, "Well, will it work on a rash?" I said, "Yeah, generally it does." And so he had a rash that he'd had for like 6 months, and the doctors in China couldn't get rid of it. So guess what? So I gave him a bottle, and he comes back the next morning, and he was just impressed. His rash that he had for 6 months and the doctors could not cure was gone, 100% gone. And then later, his wife sprained her ankle really bad, and so I had some DMSO, and I know that's a lot of times that'll help a sprain, and I gave her a bandage wrap for it, and I gave her some silver. Well, she already had a bottle of silver, but I gave her the other two things. And so a couple of days later, she comes back, and in her broken English, he spoke a lot better than she did, but in her broken English, she said, she raised the silver bottle up. She goes, "This worked the best over the DMSO and the wrap." She goes, "This worked the best."
Wow.
So they were hooked. And when he heard that this product turns into stem cells, that's when he started foaming at the mouth. He wanted me. He bought me a ticket to go to China, and he had me set up in 6 cities. He was going to introduce me to all these people, and this was a couple years ago. And at the time, I had a really major back problem, and I was never going to make a 30-hour flight. So,
well, the next 5 years, maybe we can make that happen, huh?
Absolutely, it's still on the table.
Absolutely. Well, Greg, we're out of time, and this has been just a fascinating show. What an amazing product. It's just it's one of those things that sounds like it's too good to believe, but I think probably everybody that's watching this needs to order some and just see, right? Just put it to the test, I guess, is what you want people to do, right?
Absolutely, and the reason I give a 365-day return is because I know what I have.
Yeah.
Okay. And
I don't think it gets better than that. A 365, that means you believe in it, and that means that it's great. Hey, Greg, listen, I wish we could talk for hours on this, because I'm sure there's a whole lot more we could talk about, but we ran out of time. But thanks so much for being with us. And once again, that site is www.silverinfusion.com. Go get your bottle now, test it out. If you have any kind of an issue, try it. Just try it and see if it works. And Greg, we'll have you on another time so we can talk a little more about maybe some more specific things. But thanks so much for being on. It's just been great catching up with you, and good to see you again, man, after all these years.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it, Randy.
Absolutely.
It's very kind of you to offer.
Well, thank you. And we'll see you next week. Same time, same station. Bye-bye, everybody.